The reviews are about the reviewer. So you're getting an insight into somebody's ego, which is sort of private. Some people get what I'm doing, and other people don't really get what I'm doing.
If you're someone that's a creative person, whether you're a songwriter or someone that just likes putting up content of some kind, well, then you'll probably know the feeling of feeling very concerned about what the people that are going to be consuming your creations are going to be thinking about it.
Are you not entertained?
And so if you've had what you might call an ugly type of experience in receiving feedback, well, I've just come across something that is very Yoda kind of wise in its wisdom that I feel like I'd like to share with you. Let's check it out. So I recently checked out this great interview on this podcast. It was on YouTube. It's the Broken Record podcast, which I've mentioned before on this Crafty Music Tips channel. The main thing that drew me to it was the fact that Rubin is one of the interviewers. He interviews so many fantastic, classic, very successful artists. And the fact that, you know, there's just barely over 100,000 subscribers currently, I think, what's going on? You know, it's really, really good stuff. And I think more people should know about it. Now, in this interview, which is largely about Paul Simon's latest music release, he reveals a couple of gold nuggets. Let's check it out.
So how have you been? This album, I was reading through the reviews, and I was like, can I find a bad review? I can't find one. This has never happened. I'm so used to getting bad reviews myself that when someone you hit for the cycle on this, is like there's no.
That's a great. I love all baseball metaphors. Well, it's very pleasant to have a hit. You know, I don't read reviews, so I didn't read any of them.
I'll tell you, they are 100%. They are rhapsodic. You should read them. They're fantastic. They're like.
You know, if I do read them, I will not be happy. The reviews are about the reviewer.
Yeah.
So, number one, you're getting an insight into somebody's ego, which is sort of private in a way. So I'm not really comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, some people get what I'm doing, and other people don't really get what I'm doing. They still, evidently with these reviews, they still like it. Maybe even like it a lot, but they don't go to the reasons that I put there.
Okay, so I find that fascinating. He doesn't ever read any reviews. Maybe he did back in the day, but he's learnt reading a review is something that's not really going to benefit him. I guess what I take from it is Paul Simon's philosophy is that I spend all of the time slaving over creating this art, and then like a parent of a child that's slaved over doing the parenting, at some point they're old enough to think for themselves, to go out into the world, and the parent lets them go and the child has to go out and basically just experience life for themselves. And so Paul Simon, being the parent of his art, has realized that for him, reading a review, or I'm assuming reading a comment in YouTube or a comment on social media, you know, it's not really going to benefit him, because once he's got his art out there, well, there's nothing else he can do about it. So I figured this is a gold nugget. This is very important for somebody like myself to hear. I wonder if it's something that's important for you to hear. You know, are you a creator of something? Is it music, or is it YouTube, or is it social media? Whatever it is that you're putting out there, yes, I feel like it is important that you have some curiosity to what the feedback is, because if nobody's digging it at all, well, should you know if people are digging it or not? I don't know if it's a healthy thing to completely take every single bit of commentary on whatever it is that you create completely to heart, to have it dictate everything that you do.
I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their worst work when they do that.
And wow, how freeing must it be for Paul Simon that he puts out his art and then he washes his hands of it. You know, he can just be Paul Simon again without needing to completely devour everything that people are giving back as their response. But Crafty, Paul Simon already has a huge career and he can afford to not pay attention to any comments, whereas I'm not at that point yet. So how am I going to be able to know if what I'm doing is any good? That is a very good question. Now, in order to answer it, I'm going to give you an old saying. Perhaps you've heard of the saying, it's don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What that means is you need to be discerning, which means, you know, you got to sift through the feedback. You got to learn how to weigh up what is constructive and what is just completely opinion-based and that isn't going to be of use to you.
Appreciation for the audience and worrying about what they think of your stuff. Two different things.
Right.
You know, you mustn't worry about what they think of your stuff. You mustn't worry about either. You mustn't worry about the people that love you or the people that hate you. Right?
Yeah.
And you mustn't care about either influencing you. You make it for yourself, and there's enough people in the world to absolutely fucking love what you do. If you start second guessing and trying to please everyone, you'll be homogenized shit.
Yeah.
Right? You might be successful, but you know,
You'll pander.
Yeah.
And it happens naturally with every song because I believe that the listener completes the song. They hear it, they take in the meaning on a personal level. It may not be the meaning that I intended. They even change the words in their mind. When people sometimes repeat the words that are their favorite words to me of the songs, it's not what I wrote, but it's what they heard. That's what it is. That's what the listener completes the song. So if this song was sung in an environment that was a church environment, it would have a certain kind of meaning. If it was sung in a different place, it would have a different meaning. That's good. It's good because it does have a choice of meanings.
Whoa. I don't know if you get that moment like what I did, but wow. The fact that Paul Simon, you know, like what an amount of maturity is that he's totally fine with knowing that he, as the creator, can't control how the listener perceives his art, how they connect with it. It really is something that's a team effort. Now, I've probably thought about this, maybe subconsciously, maybe consciously, I don't know, but like just to hear it out of the words of the great Paul Simon's mouth is very refreshing. All right, so let me ask you, are you a creator of some kind? I'm assuming that you must be if you're watching this video. Perhaps something that Paul Simon said really resonated with you. If you reckon that could be the case, well then leave me a comment below. And also, let's just say that the shoe's on the other foot. Do you have an example of perhaps a song that you've connected to that you found out later wasn't actually what the artist had originally intended?
What the hell does that mean?
So, for instance, I know that there's a lot of, let's say, housewives in the early 90s that bought the song Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers thinking,
oh, isn't that a nice, sweet song?
Little did they know, it's actually a very dark song about loneliness and about Anthony, the lead singer, who had a very dark period of his life on heroin. So that potentially could be an example. I know for me, I remember thinking that the song More Than Words by the band Extreme, I don't know why I'm just using song examples from the early 90s here, but that song I just thought was a nice, sweet ballad. And then, of course, years later, I'm really listening to the lyrics closely and realizing, hang on a minute. No. Oh, I see what they're doing. It's kind of like that they repackaged the song Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, but in a more stealth way of delivering it.
Zookeeper! Zookeeper! Those two monkeys are killing each other! They're having sex.
Oh.
So for me, the main thing is that I just really appreciate the words there of Paul Simon. It really helps take the edge off. It takes a load off my shoulders in knowing that me as a creator, I can't control how the listener or the viewer is going to perceive whatever it is that I've created. So once I've done it, If I think about it, am I happy with it? And then however it gets received, so be it. So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you have an example that you can whack in a comment below. But before I get out of here, I've got to mention that if this is your first time to this Crafty Music Tips channel, there's a bunch of different wide-ranging different videos here that can help you out, no matter if you're a hardcore musician or just a hardcore music lover. You don't even have to be hardcore. So check out a bunch of them there. I guess that is about it. Just before I get out of here and bid you farewell, I'll just leave you with this thought. You don't have to do every single thing right now. Just do the next thing. See you soon. Cheers.